it's time to jump into The Lost City. Let's go. Okay, so this is one of those ones where I'm glad I waited to watch it. It wasn't intentional. It just so happened that way. I wasn't too thrilled when I first heard about it coming out. I remember seeing posters and catching clips of interviews about it, and not really being super excited about watching it. Fast forward to last night, watched that mess, had a good time. It was hilarious. I highly recommend watch that movie. See, okay, so here's the thing. So on the surface, it doesn't look like much. If you judge by a poster or even a trailer you might have seen, it doesn't look like it's going to give you much. It's going to look like one of those run-of-the-mill adventure stories. And that is not... If you like those movies, you're going to like this movie. And you'll likely go see it. You'll likely see it. But it's not going to give you, the juice to be excited for it. And I think this is one of those movies that comes down to probably word of mouth is probably the best thing about that'll get people to watch this movie. Now, it's been heck of months. It's been out for a long time. So many people who might come to this video may have already seen the movie. And so that's fine. If you are watching this video and you have not seen the movie, I'm one person of several people out there who will probably tell you that they recommend this movie. So go see this movie. Now, why do I think you should go see this movie? Here's why I think you should go see this movie. So a movie like this lives and dies by the chemistry of its lead actors. If nothing else, the story could be whack, the visuals could be whack, everything could be whack about it. If you are in love with the main characters, you will follow them on whatever journey they're on. And this film is no exception. You think of all the great duos. You think of Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor. You think of Mel Gibson, Danny Glover. Granted, those ones were specific to the Lethal Weapon series, but they could do any movie. They were also in Maverick. You could do any movie, and if the strength of the chemistry of the people are there, that's it. This film has the good fortune of having Channing Tatum, who is something of he's been a comic talent in the last several years, from his 21 Jump Street movies, from even his appearances in films like This Is the End, or even look, say what you will about the G.I. Joe movies, his sense of comic timing is there. So, and say what you will about the Step It Up dance movies. I don't think the comic timing is there per se, because he's pretty much there in those movies to be like the hunk, the hot dancer dude. But he's really coming to his own as a funny. He's funny and he's compelling in the more serious parts. So you got Channing Tatum. He's key in this film. You got Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock is a G, no matter what she's doing. But both of them separately are great. But when you put them together, it just fireworks, and you go along for the journey. You're along with it. I think probably the key person in this movie is probably hands down Danny Radcliffe. He's not in the movie a lot, but he's in enough where he makes an impact. The guy is having such fun. He's having so much fun, and it makes you have fun. Watch him have fun. You know what I mean? Like he continues to pick roles that are completely, so far removed from Harry Potter. Not like that's going to matter. Like he's for the rest of his life, he'll still be known as the boy who lived, right? He's always going to be Harry Potter. What I love about him is that he continues to pick all these unique roles. And this is a role that I wouldn't have guessed, but I'm not surprised. If you think of his role, he was on stage, his performance Equius. You think of all of his, like the Woman in the Dark or Woman in Black or whatever, Swiss Army Man. Like there's tons of movies that are just, and then the Weird Al Yankovic movie is coming out. I've seen the trailer for that. He's just doing all the stuff, and I think really as an actor, he's probably living the actor's dream, where you're not pigeonholed to one character. I mean, even though you might be remembered for that character, but you get to act and do all the stuff that you want to do, whatever excites you, just jump in, take the risk. And he's taking the risk. And I think no matter what, he's taking probably some of the biggest risks, ever. Equius was a major risk. Being naked on stage, Harry Potter, right? What the fruit? People are going to be like, what the heck? And he continues to just take the risks. And I think that's inspiring, and it's admirable for creatives to see that, to see somebody not afraid to, no matter what it may look like for his career, no matter what it says about his reputation, whatever, he's just out there taking the risks. And this movie feels like he's taken a risk, and it paid off in a way that is he's great. He's one of those he's like a cross between like one of the best hammy Bond villains, but he imbues the character with a level of intelligence, and there is some weight to him. He's got presence. Daniel Radcliffe is not the biggest guy, but the way he holds presence on screen, it's you can't deny the man. The man is he's great in this movie. So if you watch it for anything else, if you don't care about anything else, watch it for Harry Potter, who's not Harry Potter in this movie. But the magic is present, so the man still brings magic, to every role he's in. So watch for this guy. He's killer. The movie actually has some pretty decent action sequences. The choreography is pretty good. It's got some good surprises in there. That this is another benefit of waiting to see a movie sometimes, where certain things might have been revealed to you in a trailer or even on a poster, and maybe you saw it and you forgot about it or whatever. And by the time you watch the movie, it's a genuine surprise. And I think certain things just have to be kept a secret. It makes the experience that much more enjoyable. When you watch the film, you'll see what I'm talking about if you haven't seen it already. But I really think this is a broader discussion. It actually goes beyond the confines of this video. But I think movies today, trailers today, particularly, because they're quite guilty of this, of spoiling a lot of the movie. I think when you think of films like, Interstellar, for instance, is a good example. There are some surprises in that movie that no matter how many trailers you saw, the surprises were not in the trailer. And I think there's a real benefit to that. I know you have to sell the movie, and so you put whatever you think is going to make, if you're the people who are making the trailers and you're the studios making the decisions about what should be in the trailer and what's going to get the people to watch this movie, you tell them, hey, put everything in there that's going to get people to watch this film. All right, fine. Because because they want to return on their investment. They want to get the money back that however millions of dollars they spent to make this movie. But there's something to be said for, I don't know how you do it in the mainstream Hollywood system. How do you keep certain things a secret? Regardless of what the concerns are about how much money you're going to get back. I think it ultimately makes the film experience that much better. You take a film like Spider-Man No Way Home, for instance, and off top, there is a hesitancy to go see, because you're going, why are you bringing back the villains and junk from earlier Spider-Man movies, for instance? Certain things should have been kept a secret. Like, I would have preferred that those certain villains, not appeared in a trailer or not appeared on a poster. And I did my best to avoid trailers too. It was just like, oh my God, why would you? Because when you watch the movie, you actually win more as the audience member. And then when you tell people about it, if you're a good person and not spoil it, like some people do, some people just go, they tell the friends stuff and they tell them everything. And that's annoying if you want to see the movie and you have to keep things spoiled for you. So I think the same is true for The Lost City. Certain things probably were revealed in trailers and things like that, but I think it's better if you maybe saw a trailer months ago and forgot about stuff, and then you see it again and it's awesome. So I was genuinely surprised with aspects of this film, and that made it that much better for me. So take that however you want. The story is actually not the greatest story, but it is different. What's cool about it, I think the way in is unique. You have Sandra Bullock, who plays a romance author, and she's writing all these romance adventures. And this movie ends up being a real life adventure that is sort of brought about by Daniel Radcliffe's character, who, having read her most recent romance adventure novel, had picked up something in the book that's actually it's real. And she had been she's an archaeologist student who pivoted to become a romance writer. So her archaeology background becomes a key piece of the story. And that's cool. I think I love stories that have characters who have a certain background, a certain set of skills, right? And the movie, at some point, the movie calls upon our protagonist to use those skills. And that's cool. Because it shows their expertise on stuff in ways that are not, it's not sort of, it doesn't have to always be in your face. And we don't know like the full extent of her background. We don't really need to. I think we know just enough to know that, homegirl has some knowledge in this field, and she's presumably done some research to write these books, and that research and experience in the field is serving her, gets to serve her on the journey. And that's fun. That's great to see. Plus, Sandra Bullock pulls it off. She's convincing. So I'm with it. Jumping to Channing Tatum, he's just the hunk. He's a hunk in this movie too. So he's a hunk in a lot of movies, and he's funny, like we mentioned before. But he has a heart too. He's imbued the character with some sense of pathos a little bit, and you can tell his heart is in the right place. And I think Channing Tatum plays this character with the real humanity, and you do feel for the guy. He's like this lovable, hunk who's not the smartest, but there's a wisdom about him though that's in there, and it's just great. It's great fun to see. And then I have to come back to Daniel Radcliffe, man. That he makes the movie. I think without Daniel Radcliffe, I mean, the movie would still be tight because Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum, so it's still something to watch. And usually with these movies, any villain is kind of like a throwaway guy. You could have had anybody play a villain or antagonist, and it's whatever. But Daniel Radcliffe is like, he's like the other anchor that makes this movie work. So go see this movie. So if it's on Amazon Prime right now, so check it out if you haven't already. Lost City, it's super fun, genuinely hilarious, well acted, and I was pleased with the writing. The dialogue is actually quite funny. There's some parts where it's kind of like it's cheesy, but part of the cheese factor is why it works, because everyone plays the roles so straight. They deliver the lines like they're committed to that stuff, and that makes it funnier. So that's the other thing that's cool about it. And then, okay, I have to talk about also locations. My understanding is that they shot on location. And contrary to what you might think, you can tell the difference when something is on location and when something's in a studio. Sometimes it's hard to tell because people are really good about the job that they do to make it look like, hey, we're in a box, and we're going to make this box look like you're on the Amazon rainforest and stuff like whatever the jungle is. And sometimes you can pull it off and it's hard to tell. But here in Lost City, it's the scenery it's beautiful. It's well captured. I think that the cinema, they've captured it really well on screen, and the colors are just so vibrant and it's so lush. There's some shots that are just some tracking shots and panning shots and aerial shots. It's beautiful. It's like the best kind of on location shooting. It's akin to what you see in the Lord of the Rings movies, and I think it's apples and oranges. Locations is really what the difference. So New Zealand is beautiful, and they've showed us parts that are like just breathtaking, and that are already breathtaking without the, like, you could put any camera there and it would still look tight. How they've captured it is amazing. I think, I don't know what jungle, I can't remember where they shot for The Lost City, but really, because the location on its own is already just like a masterpiece, they could have shot it any way and it would have been any kind of way and it would have been tight. And I think that's what's happened here. It's a pretty film. It's a beautiful film. So that's the other thing it's got going for it. And the other thing that I think is cool about this movie is certain revelations. When you discover what The Crown of Fire is really all about, it's actually beautiful. It becomes it's rather romantic, really, when you think about the context of the story, where you have a woman who is a romance writer, and she ends up going on this journey, this adventure that ultimately becomes romance. It's like a romantic situation. And when you get to something called The Crown of Fire and what that is all about, at the heart of it, it's an adventure romance story, which is like a lot of these other stories but they're not really billed that way. Jungle Cruise is billed as it's an adventure comedy film. I think Romancing the Stone is a similar thing, adventure comedy type of situation, but there's romantic elements in that. I think this film is probably the most romantic, has the romantic undertones. It's that much more lyrical because you have the woman, the main character, writes romances. So that's kind of cool to me. I think that's kind of sweet. And it really hits the heart situation for me. So, there's a lot of stuff going on in this movie, but ultimately you come back to the fun, and I think the fun piece is really what it's all about. Sometimes movies, it's cool when movies have things to say about something, where there's a commentary on something. And if you're someone who likes to analyze things and think about stuff all the time, then that's cool. You'll love movies like that. But sometimes it's just fun to go to a movie, watch a movie, and just laugh. Sometimes just have a good time. That's all you really need. You just want to there's no, layering of stuff. You don't have to overthink about stuff over time. You could do that if you want to with this movie, but it's just too much fun. I think you'd be laughing too much. And when you think about it after you've watched it, you won't think about what certain things mean or whatever it is. You just be thinking about some of the jokes and the humor in the film. And the heart, really. You might come back to the heart, and maybe that's just me because I'm the heart stuff is all up in everything that hits me. So it's got plenty of humor, plenty of heart. Check this movie out if you haven't seen it. So that's going to do it on this review, but I'll maybe back with another one. So come back when a new one is up. I'm out of here. See you.